Does anybody have a question? Or probably you can share with us your experience that, okay, somebody raise their hand, please. Just enable your microphone and speak. You can share with me, you can share with us some of your experience that you've had so far before we get into probably today's session and what we're going to learn.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good evening, Steve.
Good evening to
you. My question is it rotates around designing, let's say, a flyer. I had actually posted it in that message. Like, how do you come up with the background and like it's faded, okay, with the image. Okay, the image faded into the background. Like, how do you create that effect?
Okay, but I'm noting that down. Let me have that noted down. Chris, do you have an answer for us? Can you share the screen, like, and then probably have that answer? Or I could just going to help you note it down and then literally have it as one of the things that we answer. That's a beautiful thing here. Okay,
can you repeat the question?
Yes, Chris.
Johan, can you repeat the question?
My question is, you see like that Airtel flyer?
Yes.
There is that effect on the background. Let's say, okay, you're designing a flyer and like you want to blend the image into the background so that like the image doesn't, okay, show that it stops here and then the background also. Like, how do you create that effect of the blend?
So
An image and then the...
You're talking about the gradient, right?
Oh, it's the gradient,
Yeah, that is
I
put
think
on top of
she's asking about the mask, like how do you mask? How do you mask something? I think yesterday we talked about that. I'm going to tackle it again. So she's asking about probably masking and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought you could share your screen or something and just show you to talk about it in just a few. But anyway, I think let's first of all hear from some other people asking. Apparently, I'm noting them down and I will be tackling them in a few. So somebody, I think she's called Aniat. She has risen up her hand. Please speak something. I think after her, it's going to be Lonish. Yeah. Please ask a question or anything of that sort, and then we're going to start with that. And I also love to hear some of your experiences, like so far, like what have you experienced? How are you learning? Have you done the courses? Yesterday, I shared one of the most important courses for us to learn that talks about the animation principles and how to apply them and all kind of stuff. So it's something very, very important. I hope you guys literally went for it, the one of School of Motion. So I don't know how many of us literally went and did that class or started working in that class or learning from that class. It's only 2.5 hours, but it's one of the most important things in design, right? So we shall answer that one of how to create a fade. It's literally around masking, so I think we shall do masking again. Today we're going to learn something very, very important to do in design, to do with the blend modes. It's going to be very, very important. So anyway, let me hear a question from Aniat and then Lonish.
I already spoke. Thank you.
Oh, it was you who was speaking, eh? Okay. Lonish, you can ask your question, then we shall hear from Enoch in just a bit.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I just want to ask, like when I open up my Photoshop, there's it's just blank. My workplace, like when you opened yours, I saw something like a scale where you picked some like something like rulers in trying to make a kind of grid. So to me, when I open up my Photoshop, it doesn't really show something like that. So I don't know how to set up that. Is it in settings or something else?
Yeah, I think it's in settings. When you press Ctrl R, it's such a shortcut for you enabling rulers. When you press Ctrl R, we shall also see that. So just trust, but you can just press Ctrl R and then enable the rulers on the side. So it's part of the settings. It's under View Options. If you go to View Options and then just scroll down, you will see that control setting. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. I was also actually gonna ask you a question, the same question like Joanta asked of
How to create a play.
yeah. I tried to do it on Airtel, a flyer that we are making, but I couldn't do that, so I was kind of confused. But that's
Okay,
yeah.
I'm really going to start with that. I think it's what we ended with yesterday. I think some of you guys are not part of the class or something. But no worries. I'm going to start with that, how to create those things, how to do it. So about literally masking. So we're going to tackle masking and then blend modes. Yeah, masking and blend modes in Photoshop, and then we shall learn animation principles in design. So I think I will start with that. I will show us how to enable those rulers and grids and everything. So does somebody have probably a question or you want to share with us an experience? I don't know if we can raise hands, and then I see some of you guys who did that School of Motion course that we put up. You know, it's very important that you do it, just in case you haven't yet done it or something like so. Enoch, do you have a question or something like so?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
So,
you can ask.
hi everyone. Hi Steve.
Hello.
Mine is actually not a question. Mine is you asked about experience, yeah?
Yes.
And first of all, I will say I'm very blessed. I'm following, and every class I have the confidence to try a new project. Thank you for the materials you shared, the sites. This is a new skill I'm picking, and I will tell you I'm progressing. I really thank God. Thank you. So I'm saying that these classes are having an impact, and they are being a blessing to me. Thank you.
Great report. That. Thank you very much. Yeah, you guys can share your experiences. And today we had to put up a poll to have some sort of question because we need a lot of engagements from you. At times, of the times, people in the group are, quiet. You can share some of the things you've learned. You can share some of the things that you love. Probably other people to learn because the heart and mind is about sharing, right? Right now, I think I should have been watching a match by us, and I think it's about to start or something. But I'm right here and doing this. So I think that's the heart of sharing knowledge, and then yeah. So please share something, talk about something. The group, the 10x Motion Tribe group, is actually free. It's a free roam place where you can share experiences. People are there, Chris is there, and every one of us is actually there to answer some of their questions or even ask to learn from each and every one that's on the group that who are there and they know quite a lot of stuff, and we can share the knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So if at all, I know there is any other question or probably some sort of an experience for somebody to share. Otherwise, in just a bit, I'm going to have us go into today's stuff we're going to learn, starting with that kind of masking. Then we shall learn something to do with blend modes. And then we shall learn a couple of alignment tools because I realize those are the most important things. Apparently, if you guys have been following after the classes and everything and in the tutorials, more so, in fact, more important in the tutorials. You might not actually come and watch again what we studied in probably class 2, class 3, but watch the tutorials that are literally sent through, watch tutorials from Pixie Perfect and other tutorials that we shall recommend. And maybe after the class, I'm going to have some of those tutorials sent in again, right? So does anybody have any other question or experience to share? I think I had one of us who had a challenge, opening After Effects. They were asking for something like an MSPSP.dll to be installed into our system. I think we should also talk about that within the class or something of sort. Hope she's on the call or something of sort. So anyway, I think I'm just going to, if at all there's no any other question, If you have any question, please just enable your mic and speak. You can just enable your mic and speak. Other than that, I'm just going to have us go into the next session. One thing I would love to comment, and I won't stop saying it, these are literary marathons. It's about guidance. In fact, if you learn something from another course or something also that we shared, you can have, that's why I would love it to be more interactive, more of you asking questions, more of, me answering, because apparently I'm just showing us how easy stuff are. That's why we are creating flyers from day one, right, to show us that these are easy, but there are some other few nitty-gritty principles that we may not cover. I think I'm right now working on recording detailed tutorials to do with animations, that is in After Effects, different tutorials to do with animation principles and everything like in a detailed manner. But apparently right now in this kind of classes, something that I would love to continue communicating, I made a video about it, is that we need to put in we need to have some sort of grit, to practice, those tutorials, to go and watch further. Some of the things that we share in this, I think it's actually 1.5 hours that we normally have is not enough, for us to, become more competent, but it's actually enough for us to create something to create a couple of things that, people create out there. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things, most important things in design today, and also in animation. So it's going to be a packed kind of a class, and yeah. So Pato, we don't have any other question. I'm just going to set up in just a minute. I think in just 1 or 2 minutes to shift to my workplace, and then I'll start it, right? But just in case somebody has a question, please, you can ask. If not, I'm just going to have us go into today's session. So please watch those tutorials, take that course. It talks about your design principles and everything, and also train your design eye, just like we spoke yesterday. You must always look at good designs and then, watch them, think behind how did some people come to do some of those stuff, and then it will be something so beautiful. So right now, I think I'll just shift the mic to catch Chris. If I don't have something to say to us, as I literally head to my workstation. Thank you very much. Chris, are you there? All right, I'm heading to my workstation in a bit, and then we're literally going to have a class session started. All right. I'm sharing my screen right now. I am sharing my screen right now, and so it's going to be more engagement. Going to be asking questions, and then have to have myself hearing from you and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be more of engagement. I'm sharing my screen in just a bit. All right. Hope you guys can see my screen. I can actually see it. I'm just going to open something that where we left yesterday. We're going to start with Photoshop in a bit and then head on to animations after this. So yesterday, I personally can see my screen and it's moving smoothly. So yesterday we stopped on something like this, but let me just delete everything and just remain with the image and then talk about a few things for the start, right? So I wanted to make this kind of flyer, but let me first head to something now. Somebody asked, like I think I answered a question back. I answered the question during a Q&A session that we had concerning the view, enabling rulers. So I always enable rulers in my, you just have to go through the view bar, right? And then come to rulers here, Control R. So it's literally enabled. Then you can literally drag your rulers and then create, we normally call it a safe space or a safe area or a place where actually the text and all the content should appear. So that's literally the first thing that you ought to do, right? So yeah, to hide the ruler, you just press Control H to hide them so that you can, see your work or something. To enable the rulers, you just still press Control H, to hide or reveal the rulers. Now, let me get that Airtel flyer again, but I think it's going to be the last time. I'm just going to talk something small in a bit. Do I actually need that? I don't think I do. So I just need, let me duplicate my artboard right here. I've just pressed Control and then clicked or dragged the artboard. And the other way you can do that is actually pressing Control J. It's such a shortcut for duplicating the artboard. So apparently I'm just going to delete this. Oftentimes, when you're starting up with a design, this is very important to note. When you're starting up with a design, at times you're having that white background. So the most important thing that you have to do, starting up with backgrounds, let me have this text bar hidden. I don't know why it's literally popping up or something. Let me have this closed. All right. You have to start with putting some sort of a background in there. So oftentimes people put shapes. I talked about it at first. People put shapes, but you don't want to have a shape as your background. You want to have an adjustment layer called solid color. So you put a solid color as your background. Yesterday, somebody actually pointed out something that my pixels were not, seen or something. I think it was a network, but I don't believe it was a network issue or something. But I hope my screen can be seen the way I'm seeing it on my phone. It actually appears well. So you start with an adjusted layer and then you put a color, as the background or something, right? So the beautiful thing with this is that you can always change the color of your background and all that kind of stuff in just a bit, right? And then when you stretch up the artboard, it doesn't literally change. When you stretch it up, it doesn't actually disappear, right? So, okay. Let me first drag in the other flyer, but actually, let me just share with us the concept behind everything. Let me first answer that faded experience that somebody asked a question about, right? So it's all about masking. Yesterday, we talked about masking, which was very, very important. And by the way, just in case you've just joined this for the first time right now, I'm working, if at all you open a document in Photoshop, you have to enable artboards, for you to have the very experience that I'm having right now of, having to drag elements within the space and everything, right? So, for example, yesterday, the other time we had an image just like this. Let me just have it dragged in here so that I can show us what masking is and everything to do with that. I know whether I'd saved it earlier on. Yes, so I think it should be among these. All right, it's right here. So let me ask Ronish in just a minute with something I ended with. Now, yesterday I even talked about this. I think as we're ending, we started with animations and then ended with design. So masking, for example, here, right here, I think I also did it yesterday. I was talking about it. Layer masking is literally the concept of, hiding certain spaces and then revealing others. And I said that I think I would have even referred Ronish to that class that we did yesterday. But anyway, we said that masking is about hiding a few parts and then revealing others. And then we say that black hides and then white reveals. Like anything in Photoshop, black hides and then white reveals. We can do masking using different elements. We can use a gradient. We can use a brush tool. For example, we can pick up a brush and then having our white. Now, this is literally a foreground and then background, right? Foreground and then background. So whatever we enable in the foreground, for example, if you press X, you can change the foreground from being white, from being black to white, and then you can also change it from white to black. So apparently it's black. So since black hides, when we paint over here, right? Let me just, you have to click on the layer within the layer panel or within the layer panel, and then you enable what we call a mask. So you just have to go down right here and then click on a mask and then be able to mask that place. So you create some sort of that faded line, right? And oftentimes you have to enable your brush settings. We normally want to enable, there's a default under general brushes, there's a default soft round. So that is what is always enabled. So if you increase the hardness, it becomes hard. As you can see, paints with that kind of softness, right? So, and that is just one of the ways. You can also increase your brush size by just going down here and then increase the size of the brush. Or there are these bracket tools. I think there are rectangular bracket tools that you can use to increase it. And then, those ones, in fact, apparently you can see them right here, those bracket tools, right? So, you can use those bracket tools to increase or decrease the size of the brush. So we're going to decrease the hardness and make the hardness to be 0. And then we can paint over the place and mask that kind of a place, right? So yesterday, the other time, since we wanted a mask that is actually more beautiful, that's more organized, we enabled a mask and then clicked on a gradient tool and then dragged from up here to down. As you can see, it makes some sort of a faded kind of gradient. It makes some sort of a faded kind of a mask or something. And then you can enable the white background, or if you put a white background, you can see how faded it is. I don't know if that has answered your question, Ronish. I hope it has answered your question to do with that. Beautiful, beautiful. And does anybody have a question to do with, masking and everything? If nobody literally has a question to do with masking and everything, we can move on to the next thing. All right, I'm hoping nobody, because we actually talked about that the other time. Today I want to talk about something very important. Now, most of us, if you attended from the first class, you know how to, create a flyer or something of that sort, to use different elements. For example, we created the item flyer. All we had to was, to get the logos and, drag them and all that kind of stuff. So today I wanted to share with us a couple of things very, very fast before we get into animations in a bit. I wanted to share with us to do with blend modes, right? So I wanted to share with us to do with the blend modes, as we're literally seeing how easy it is to create this MTN flyer, right? So let me get right into it in a few. So let me apply something to do with masking. I want a lot of space like up here, and I'm not literally having it with this kind of flyer. So what I'm going to do is to drag the flyer a bit down, right? And then I'm going to change. Remember, I told you guys, if you're starting up with a flyer, you want to, for example, your canvas is like this. You want to start with the solid color as the background, right? And then enable it. Here you can change the background, like very, very fast, the color of the background. I talked about that. And I also said, like, Photoshop works in terms of layers. If something is beneath the other, you can just drag it up for it to appear. When something is on top, it hides the one down. So what I'm going to do is click on this, and then to click on the colors of the background, and then I can literally come. If you literally hover outside the colors of the artwork, you can actually color pick, right? So I'm going to color pick this particular kind of blue. And as you can see, I have, what has happened is that I've created a blue background, but I've just color picked it from the ones that we had of the clouds. And then we created some sort of, to make it seem like it's actually the same cloud or something. So apparently I'm going to do some little bit of masking. Let me just disable this and then do a little bit of masking. So I'm going to click on my gradient right here and then choose the foreground and then the background. So remember, black hides and then white reveals. So I'm going to make sure that it's from black to white. So if you guys cannot see it, it's part of the presets. So you can just click one of the presets right here, just in case your gradient editor is like this. You can actually just click right here and then use one of the presets, or you can come here and then choose whatever kind of color that you want, right? So just make sure that the foreground is black, and then the other side is white, or you can just click on this preset. After doing that, we're going to apply a mask. We just learned how to apply a mask or to hide stuff. I'm going to just click just right here and then drag. I'm going to press shift in a bit. I'm pressing shift so that we have a line which is straight or something. And then I'm going to hide that a bit or to make it fade. And then when I enable my other kind of, background, it's a bit faded, then I'm going to color sample right here again to literally create something that looks nice, right? That won't be seen, right? So right now I'm going to talk about blend modes. Apparently we want to create these kinds of lines. Hope you guys can see them. You see those kinds of lines? Yeah, we want to create them. But what we're going to do is to go to free pick. It's one of the I'm going to go to free pick. It's one of the websites that you have to be using oftentimes, freepick.com. And okay, and I'm going to search for circular lines. Now I'm just showing you how simple it is to come up with something that's sort. I think there's some nice lines in here. I think these ones can work. This is literally yeah, I think these ones can work. So if at all you are not having like premium kind of account or something, that's what you may not be able to download this with this kind of a stuff, with this kind of a thing. So apparently you can click on free, right? And then enable free, and then you can get some of those free ones. But I will have myself share with you this other one, I think in our group or something that sort. Or even you can download this. In fact, let me also download this free one that we can all use. It's going to be the same results, I believe. All right, I think I've downloaded. So apparently we want to have some sort of that kind of a thing in the background. So what we're going to do is to come to our downloads. Oh God, apparently it wasn't just an image. I hope my second download is an image. Okay, this is not an image. I don't want to go into Illustrator. Okay, let me just have it. Let me just drag it right here. Okay, I need to unzip this. Let me just unzip it in a bit. Okay. I'm just going to drag it to some other folder and unzip it in a bit. All right. Beautiful. So I'm going to get this background. I hope you guys can see it. And then just drag and drop it here, those lines. Now I'm going to share with us something very important to do with blend modes. Now, of course, it's hiding the stuff beneath because it's literally up, right? So I'm going to share with us something to do with the blend modes. Now, there's I think right here, I hope you guys can see it. Apparently, we're having normal, right, as the blend mode. So it's in normal. It's always normal by default, right? So when you click on it, you see different kind of blend modes. Now, one of the best ways of exploring them is, one of the best ways of understanding them is by going through them. When you just hover over them, you can see what almost each and every one of them does, right? Once you go through them, you can see different kind of effects they do, right? But it's very, very important to understand like how they affect everything, right? So when you see them, the first section up here, normal and dissolve, are literally the normal kind of a thing, like they don't change anything. Dissolve, I think let me just do something here to explain what dissolve does. When I create some sort of a layer and then I put some sort of a brush and then the light change to dissolve, as you can see, it creates some sort of dots that are literally dissolving into the project, right? It creates those kinds of dots, right? If you change that to darken, it actually makes it dark, right? So I think let me explore the darken and the rest in using this kind of a thing. So with this one, we are seeing the white pixels. We are seeing white and then black. So apparently we have white and then black pixels, right? We have the dark pixels. I think that it's literally gray. This one's gray pixels and then the white, right? So what happens, the first three of these, that is darken, multiply, color band, linear band, and darken color, they all remove the white pixels. They all deal away with the white. So these first three. Now this other second, this one lighten screen, this other section, lighten screen, color dodge, linear dodge, and that kind of stuff, they deal away with the black pixels, and then they remain with the light pixels, right? So these ones, they deal away with the black pixels, and then they remain with the black pixels in simple sense, right? And then this overlay, soft light, hard light, vivid light, and all kind of stuff, what beautiful term can I give to this kind of one? Like they blend, they increase the saturation, they increase the saturation of the I think I should show us a couple of examples. Like they are literally more of saturations because they are overlays. They make whatever kind of background you put on them to overlay them, so they are to do with the saturation of the elements, right? So let me just drag anything in here, any kind of a thing. I know that I'm having some sort of elements in here, just to show us. As you can see, this was some flyer somebody made some time back. As you can see, when I come to screen, it just literally deals with how this literally blends with the rest. Like it increases the saturation. As you can see, when I highlight all these, they either decrease the saturation of what's behind and the elements or something else, so what's behind the background, or increases it. As you can see, screen has literally increased the saturation of this kind of the people behind, right? So anyway, apparently, but to do the other kind of effect, I'm going to share some sort of something to do with in fact, let me share it right now. That's very, very beautiful for you guys to go and watch through on YouTube. For you to understand blend modes like in a more deeper way, apparently I always want to make everything as simple as possible, for the reason that we all know. You're going to go, I think I'm going to send this link into in our group. So you're going to go and watch this kind of video, 27 blend modes explained by Pixing Perfect, right? So it takes you through all the nitty-gritties of what each and every one of them does, right? With targeted. So we take you through all the nitty-gritties, the multiply, color band, darken, color, and all that kind of stuff in a very, very, very detailed way. It shall show you the difference between the darken one, what darken one does. It blocks all the white pixels and the dark pixels, and the difference between darken blend mode and then the difference between darken blend mode and then multiply, what it does. As you can see, multiply, normally deals away with the brightest pixels of the black kind of a thing, and multiply literally deals with some of them. Like this one blocks most of the black pixels, and then this one, does not, like, to some of them, because he will show you something like he literally explains it in terms of a great scale. I think it's literally 23-minute kind of a video. I may not be able to do that right now to just talk about blend modes, but you shall go and watch them. So apparently we want to deal away with the black pixels. As I say in this section, these are with the black pixels. This one deals away with the white, this one deals away with the white pixels. This one deals away with the black pixels. Whatever kind of background that you have, which has black pixels, it deals away with them. As you can see, every kind of a thing that's black is dealt away with, and we're only left with the white. This one dealing with the white pixels, and then you are left with the dark kind of pixels or gray pixels. So apparently to kind of do something like this, we're going to use either darken, we're going to use probably either darken. I think darken kind of blend mode works. And then we're going to decrease the opacity in a bit, and then increase the size of our thing of the shape right here. So as you guys can see, we've actually experienced the same kind of results that we're having. I just have to, decrease the opacity in a bit. But apparently we've, done the same thing like that was done right here. We talked about yesterday why we used these grid lines. And apparently just like I shared with you, I just desire to show us how easy these things are. All you have to do is to put the text, to recreate this kind of a thing. You just put the text. Apparently, I'm going to color pick their white, their yellow, and just going to change the font in a bit. I told you guys of the properties panel that we must always use. Apparently, it's right here. I think I have the MTN Bright Sans. I will share it with us. And then there's a shortcut that I would just love to show us. If anything is onto the foreground, you can press out and backspace and have it like on any kind of a shape or something that sort, any kind of a shape, all anything. That's literally a shortcut. It's the same as coming here to the properties panel and then clicking on the yellow. It actually does the same thing, right? So you can type the thing. I don't know. I don't want to go into the basic things. I think I shall share titles. I shall share tutorials to do with how every basic thing works. So hope you guys with me. So you guys are going to check out that that kind of tutorial to do with blend modes and everything, to have a detailed explanation about everything. As I shared earlier on, I'm working on those detailed tutorials to do with how everything literally works. So I'm going to decrease the size. As I told you guys, you have to come here and decrease the size of the letters and everything. So I'm going to make it something like 36, and then this one a bit something like 36. I think that's some sort of good kind of spacing, and then change the color to white. And I think this font is let me just change the font to something different. Now, there's something which I desire to show us in just a bit. Apparently, I'm not going to write the very kind of words that they're having. I just want to show us something, and another kind of recommendation that I would love us to do, right? Right here, as you can see, what I'm doing is that I'm following the line of the grid. Now, most of the people actually don't do this, right? There's something, there are design principles that are very, very important. We have hierarchy. I think I shared it in the PDF. We have it in the groups. For those of you who are in the groups, I think I literally have to have a session either tomorrow or some other day just to talk about all this, and then how we can literally put them in practice. And then, I think I'll just show them to us. But apparently, you must follow the alignment. Now, some of you guys can be able to do whatever we've done, but there are some things which are very, very important. You must learn about alignment. You must learn about hierarchy, contrast, and everything. So this is what is being done right here. This is has two things: hierarchy, of size, right? So the words are bigger because they want to drive a lot of attention right there, right? The other time we shared something to do with the focal point. Apparently, these smiling people are the focal point of the entire flyer. Let me share with us something very important to do with design. In design is very simple. You can create a flyer in very few minutes or few seconds or something of that sort. But what's more important is literally having always to use high like I don't know how to explain it. Like you have to use documents which have high pixels, which are literally large, something which is not pixelated. Like you have to get an image which has high pixels. That's why I recommend Prepic, because Prepic has only high documents, like big documents. You can't get a nice flyer with a document which is like 300 pixels or something like that sort. You have to get something which is probably 1 GB and above, or something like high resolution. In fact, the main thing which I wanted to talk about was high resolution. Now, as you can see, hope you can see this. Let me talk about this right here. As you can see right here, these lines are going through this lady, and we don't actually want that. So let's go back to our masking that we talked about. All you have to do is to click on the layer which is having those kinds of lines, and then click on a mask, right? Click on a mask, and then when you click on a mask, all you have to do is to enable your brush tool, make sure that right here it's actually black, and then decrease. Now there are two things, opacity and flow. You can decrease the flow a bit. Flow literally determines how hard your brush is. For example, if I have my flow in like 5%, as you can see, when I brush, things don't actually move very fast. Like they don't get hidden like very fast. You don't have to brush like after some good time, and then everything was literally be hidden, right? So when I have the flow increase to 100%, I can brush stuff, and then they will just disappear in just a bit, right? So always, oftentimes, you encourage, have your flow like right down here. Like just make sure it's like 30% or 15%, and then just brush out like these details very slowly. So it will give you a better experience, as we shall see in the preceding tutorials. So I've hidden, or I've literally brushed out those pixels out of the lady, and even here, I'm just going to make the brush smaller and then do the same. So yeah, that's very, very important. So masking is going to be part and parcel of everything that you actually do, right? So I don't know whether I'm having this particular kind of logos, so let me just consider them to be boxes for the sake of time. We need to cover quite a lot of things. If you try to download these Google Play logos, I think I will share them in a document. I have them on my hard drive, which I'm not having with me now. But just in case these are the logos, the other time we talked about grouping. I can have these grouped and then just drag them all together. So I'll share with us those logos tomorrow. I think when I share like the assignment of everything, and then you can have this text document, duplicated, and then going to make them a bit smaller, and then you can write those words. I think they are literally get the MTN pulse up, get the MTN pulse up. So I'm going to change the font to MTN Sans. All right, and almost the flyer is actually done. Just have to make these words a bit larger. You don't want them to be beyond 4 pixels or something that sort in any kind of document. Yeah, so I'm just going to carry my group, and then this, and then just literally group them all together, and then increase this cutting in a bit. Yeah, so we are literally done with the flyer in just a few seconds, right? In just a few minutes, I mean. So apparently it's the same thing which we learned the other time. You can just create some sort of yellow line down here, disable the stroke, and then put a few texts. I think that they put right down here. So I can just create a new layer, create texts. I think they are small, so they're not meant to be red. I'm just going to have them like in a very small font. Change the color to black and have them like appear down there. Let me just zoom in a bit. Yeah. So just a bit, this is literally rough stuff, but it's literally the same thing they did down here. And then the logo of the MTN Pulse right here, just in case you literally have it. So in just a bit, you are literally done with the flyer and how it looks and everything. I think also the logo. To duplicate, I told you guys, you just press out and then D. You just press out and then you drag the shape. All you have to do is to press out and then drag the shape, right? So I'm going to make this box a bit bigger. Yeah, so that's literally how you literally do a flyer or something, like something like this. We're going to have it, done with our assignment or something that sort. But in just a bit, if you have these logos and everything, I think let me use our save space right here. Yeah, so you're literally done with the flyer and it's within the box because you create these boxes, to have the content go literally in there. So I won't do what MTN did. Yeah, but they also have their kind of save space right here. As you can see, let me just drag the rulers in here. So as you can see, they followed that because they are professional designers, right? As you can see, everything is literally within the bounds of their save space. Anyway, yeah, so you are literally done with the flyer. So I think tomorrow we shall be literally creating this. You shall try out the blend modes and everything. There's something which I still wanted to tackle within Photoshop, but I think I shall just send tutorials about that. The next time I think it shall be on Monday, we shall talk about dimensionalism. I have lots of flyers. I don't know whether I have them here. I think I will share them with us on Monday. It shall be so beautiful. Dimensionalism, we shall talk about lights, shadows, and everything. So let me just have something shared with us in just like a minute, and then we shall go into After Effects. Now, for example, let me put a black background right here, or probably something like this. If I put a text that says probably go bold, and then increase the size in a bit. Since we are dealing with an MTN font, so let me make the background yellow, go bold, and duplicate this. I'm going to change the text to white. I'm just using X and then out and then backspace to change the color in a bit. Go bold, right now. So there's a way of creating dimensions. I'm just going to show something basic here. There's something called clipping masks, right? For example, if I want some shape, for example, let me carry this kind of a shape right here. For example, if I want this shape to appear in this kind of letters, like go bold, right? I can create what they call a clipping mask. So let me change the blend mode to normal or something. If I want it to appear in this word, like go bold, right? Or if I want it to appear in just these letters, I have to create what they call a clipping mask. With a clipping mask, you left click and then come to create clipping mask. And then it will clip all. Clipping mask is like, in simple terms, it's like I want this element to only appear in the words or in the shape down below, right? So that's what a clipping mask is. So it can be like, I want this element to be clipped here. And in fact, when you click on the element in the layer panel, you can move it all around and it's only appearing within those words. So that's a beautiful, beautiful trick. Sometimes you don't want to use the colors within the stuff. For example, right now, as you can see, you can see that smoke within, the letters and everything. So that's it to a clipping mask. The other way of, creating it, all you have to do is to hover, and I can't zoom in right now, but you can zoom in over the layer panels and everything. It's to hover on this. As you can see, it's right now a hand, right? And then once you hover and then press out, right? And then click on this on the lines that are dividing these layers. You can literally clip this to. You can literally do the clipping mask again without probably left clicking, and then enabling a clipping mask. I hope you guys understanding, or have literally understood what a clipping mask is. So you can literally clip mask anything or everything. So apparently we can create some sort of a shadow right here. For example, there are places where you want to create some sort of dimensionism and you want to enable some sort of a shadow only on the words right now. For example, I think I will talk about it on Monday in a more detail, right? For example, this layer is above, but we can create some sort of a shadow to do with it. All I have to do is to create a new layer and then create a clipping mask to it, right? So since this word is technically above the word, which is the cobalt is above the one down below, or right now, we can create some sort of a shadow, a small kind of a shadow right here, right? So we're going to put to create a to turn the brush into black by changing the foreground. The brush normally follows the color of the foreground right here, and then I'm just going to have my flow 100%. I can literally change that with the opacity, or probably I can just have it decreased a bit, and then click right here. And then I've created some sort of a shadow, right, by just using a clipping mask. So it can be as subtle as possible, right? As subtle as possible. As you guys can see, I'm just going to decrease the opacity just a bit. Now, as you guys can see, the dimensions and everything about the flyer has literally changed. So let me just decrease it a bit with just this kind of addition. Now, in most of my flyers, let me just get my hard drive and show you. I think I'm just going to show us this as we finish up with the what? I think we shall explore this on Monday. Let me show you guys some of the things. As you can see, what we've enabled is a shadow, and this has literally changed everything on how literally the flyer looks all together, right? On how the flyer literally looks all together. So let me just make it clean a bit small or something. So we've literally created some sort of a dimension whereby the word above is actually casting some sort of a shadow to the words down below. So let me just, I think my hard drive is already in. So let me just show you something. Please don't leave. We're going into After Effects in just a bit. Let me just show us some few things here. Okay. Which flyers? Okay. There are some flyers that I don't share 10 times, but I did them some time back, working with the agency that I'm working for. Shasha. Let me just show us in a bit. I think we shall explore this in the coming sessions. Okay, these are some of them. Hope you guys can see my screen. Some of them are still coming, but I shall show us more probably in the next coming in the next coming tutorials. There are quite many. There are quite many. Okay, so let me just show us something here. All right. I don't know. There's some others which I want to show us. Okay. So I'm going to go through all these flyers just a little bit to show us. On this one. Okay. We're going to explore a few things here. I'm just going to show us dimensionism, and then we shall shift into After Effects in just a bit. Thank you very much. Now, let me start with this. So, anyway, for example, this kind of flyer I've done like a lot. These are the few ones that I can just start with for now. As you can see, these words, let me just hide a few things in here. But let me start with what I've just been talking about. For example, oftentimes in most of my flyers, personally, I normally create some sort of dimensions. For example, when you see this word hello there, I think I had to start with this, but I didn't. When you see this word hello there, Let me click on the word itself in the layer panel. When you see this word hello there, oh God, okay, hello there, it looks as though it's behind the monkey or something, right? So the monkey is casting some sort of a shadow in there, right? Oftentimes, you know, the flyers, as you guys are going to see, like in all these documents, such kind of dimensions in there, like something is casting a shadow, something is behind the other, like things are not just flat, right? So we're going to explore that on Monday, and you know, that has to do with, you know, what the kind of shadow that we created right here. I'm going to show us. As you can see, even here comes peace. You know, we added that kind of dimensions. When I click on the words themselves, here, as you can see, they are literally as though they are behind they're behind, you know, the gorilla or something that sort. Okay, same applies right here with a family or something that sort. These lights are called environment. You know, as you can see at the start, they create some sort of environment that binds this person in the foreground. You know, it's some sort of an image with the gorilla. You know, it's as though the light is coming, shining on the gorilla and the other person. So we shall talk about an environment like next time. But as you can see, these words, Boeza family, they appear as though they are behind this, you know. So, and then there's some sort of a shadow, as you can see. Then when I disable it, I've disabled the shadow, I've enabled it. So it's right here in the layer panels. There's some sort of a shadow to do with it, right? So it's just subtle, so you guys may not be able to see it, right? So in all those kind of things, there's some sort of dimensions here that the player was saying, why drive when you can fly? We should also talk about the environment right here. So it was literally the foreground of a car, and then somebody seeing an aeroplane and then be like, why drive when you can, you know? So we shall talk about environments. Others, all these clouds, there are a lot of clouds right here. If I disable them, as you can see, you know, so they're all there to create what we call dimensions, right? So same applies to all these flyers. These clouds and everything, you know, they're all there to create. In fact, let me just show us in this one. As you can see, these clouds, they are moved over the place. We have some sort of a light. Let me just show us the light. It's right here. There's a light that blows into this entire thing to create some sort of an environment. The lights are two, you know, and then the clouds, as you can see, the lights literally is an environment to, you know, join you know, this is just an image behind this. You know, it's just moving or something. So we're just communicating something to do with Kehihi, Kanongo, and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's the same thing altogether right there, right? Even right here in this kind of flyer, as you can see, there's some sort of a shadow right here. It's dimensions, you know. So we shall talk about dimensions in the next kind of class that we shall have. Even this later reflection and everything, as you can see, there's some sort of a couple of, you know, the words are literally blending within the flyer and all that kind of stuff. You know, this is where nature and soul meet. You know, these words are behind the people, they are behind the, you know, the monkey and everything. All that is dimensions right? So even this, as you can see, there's some sort of an extra light that is created to you know, to join the letters, the words. This is literally, there's a phone. A phone is, you know, wasn't part of the picture, but there are lots of shadows and everything involved to, you know, to have this concept like come to life or something of that sort. Still even here, as you can see, when I zoom in a bit, there's some sort of a shadow right here. All that is dimensions, and so we shall talk about it in the next kind of flyers. As you can see, the words are literally behind, you know, the monkey. This was just like mother, like child. The picture could speak for itself, but we had to create some sort of dimension with it. You know, as I can say it in most 90% of my flyers, as you can see, the word get is literally behind this, and there's some sort of a shadow, right, cast on it from the hand of the person. All that is dimensions. Here, the image was a bit blurred, so we couldn't do that. So here there was an application of masking. The copy was a 300 view of nature, of nature's grandeur from sunset to sunrise. As you can see, even here, these words up here are casting a shadow to the words down here, and then it creates some sort of dimensions. When I remove the shadow, as you can see, it's literally normal words. When I put the shadow, which I clip masked, it's kind of a different story. So it creates some sort of dimension with it. There's a shadow cast to it. So as you can see, the communication of this flyer, it was a carousel. It was, 360 nature from sunrise to sunset. So as you can see, there's these are literally two images. When I disabled some of them, these are literally two images that were blended together to communicate a sunset. As you can see, the sun is setting, sun is rising, and then the sun is setting. So they had to be, blended together. So I applied lots of masks and, everything to, create some sort of a blending between the two flyers. Otherwise, the images were different images. They were not, it's not the same image this side, being put here. They're different images, but you can see it's as though the tree literally blends into this other part, right? So as you can see, those are different images, but there's some sort of a, masking, a lot of masking here. So you guys have to, explore and understand masking a lot. Yeah, so that's literally it. So we shall explore that next Monday. Yeah, for now, we're going to stop the class right here. So we shall explore dimensionism, shadows, and everything, how to create that and create exceptional flyers. One thing I would like to comment before we end, you're going to go on YouTube and then learn everything, probably fixing perfect shares, and then also check out the tutorials made by Satoli Graphics. Satoli Graphics. It talks about alignment and lots of other design principles, things that separate good designers from bad designers. It has a lot of wonderful stuff for you to learn from. As I said earlier on, the essence of our classes is to make stuff quick and show you how easy they are, and then recommend you a couple of things that we literally learn from so that you can learn very fast. So you go to Satori Graphics and then learn a couple of stuff. He has a lot of wonderful stuff. After the 10 days, you just keep up with the pace and then become a great designer. So anyway, with this, I'm just going to close everything and then just shift to After Effects. So I'm going to use After Effects 2023 just to show those people that it's actually the same panels. Otherwise, everything is going to be the same with 2022. Now, I want to, as After Effects is opening up, to have some sort of questions. If you haven't understood something or anything that we shall tackle next Monday, yeah. So is there any question or something? Otherwise, we're literally shifting into After Effects to learn a few things in animation, and then we shall stop the class. All right. So is there any question, please? I would just love to hear from you, what you have to say and everything. Does anybody have a question or something to say? So anyway, on Monday, we shall talk about dimensions. It's something which literally changes everything in flyers, but I shall continue, commenting a few things. So all the next sessions are literally going to be very, very engaging, a lot engaging, and yeah, we shall talk about quite a lot of stuff, but I would love to hear from you so that it's not like you watching another YouTube channel, another YouTube. People on YouTube or course tutorials on YouTube are way more organized and everything, so the only challenge is that you can't ask a question, right? So right here, since you can ask a question, you can, so somebody raise their hand, please ask or say something.
Thank you very much, Steve. For me, I just wanted to like all that you've said about the masking, the blending, and all of that stuff. Yeah, so is it also possible in Illustrator? Because I'm sure there are people that work best with Illustrator, yeah, and others with Photoshop. So I don't know if you'll also be sharing some of these.
So I'm going to share something on Monday. Personally, there are places where I use Illustrator throughout, right, in most of the artworks. But some things are not possible in Illustrator. You just now you can't literally mask in Illustrator, right? But you can create a document in Photoshop and then bring it in Illustrator, do the masking in Photoshop, and then it shall appear Like everything you change in Photoshop, it will reflect in Illustrator. It's normally called dynamic linking. So I think that kind of workflow is what most of the people normally use, or it's what most of us normally use. So otherwise, masking is not possible in Illustrator and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay. Thank you.
Carly, you're welcome. So even dimensions of that's that kind of, you can clip mask, you can create some sort of clips, you can clip elements on others in Illustrator, but it's not as easy as it is. In Illustrator we have what we call opacity masks. So you can create some sort of an opacity mask, but it's not as easy and as efficient as it is in Photoshop. In fact, Illustrator is normally for primarily identity designs, if somebody is not doing identity designs and everything. So anyway, here we are in the world of motion graphics. I think there's some other people who are literally part of the group. Please say something, keep the group engaged or something that sort. I think tomorrow I'm going to have something launched out within UI UX design. I think it's literally very, very important within design and everything. I'll be doing a couple of things in there, or we shall be doing some sort of challenges in there. So I'll be designing a couple of screens in Figma. And I think one day, probably next year or something, we shall have a session where we shall be learning Figma and everything. It won't be like a Mograph marathon. It could be probably one day in a week or something, but we shall have a session to do with that and also explore that kind of a thing. So yesterday we talked about this menu, creating a composition. We talked about it now twice. All you have to do is a composition is like an artboard in Photoshop. You have to probably create a composition name. For example, you can say Mograph 04, whatever kind of a thing. Dimensions we're using 1920 by 1080. I love animation so much, so much. They're literally beautiful. I always enjoy each and every kind of a thing. Resolution, I'm going to put it in quarter because I want everything to move fast. But for most of the things where I'm just going to do shape animations like now, I can put it to full. I'm going to have like things in 5 seconds. I think that's literally okay. In fact, it's apparently 50 seconds. Yeah, that's literally okay. And then the other time we talked about the interface, I shared a course to do with everything. I shared a course and a tutorial. If you guys did not watch the course or something sort, we'll go and then watch the course that shall talk about most of the basics. So the other time we explored most of the basics of everything to do with animation. Now, these are literally scripts. I'm literally closing them because we may not need them now, but we're going to explore them in just a bit. There are scripts. Let me just show us something very, very fast. For example, this particular kind of script, for example, in fact, let me, before I close that script, I've created a composition of everything. I can, for example, if I put some sort of a shape, let me just show us how they work. You will love them. But before you use them, you have to know how to do everything like from scratch, right? For example, if I put any kind of a shape, so let me draw a rectangle right here, like we explored the other time. When I put, I'm just showing us the power of scripts and what scripts can do. Apparently the fill is not there, so I'm going to change the fill to something like gray. And then I want it to move from down there and up here. Apparently I can do that in just a few seconds using this script. I can just click on that, I want it to come from up. Just going to come from up, and I want it to fade in and also scale up. So in just a few, I've actually created that kind of animation without dealing everything with keyframes or anything, right? So this is what some of the scripts can do. They can ease your work. This is, for copying and what. There are lots of scripts. I have a particular panel right here for just scripts. I have a lot of them. I learned script for like 6 months, and I'm acquainted with most of them, but some of them, in fact, all of them, it's not good to learn scripts and plugins if you can't do them from scratch. Let me show something also, but we shall share some of this in our freebies, in our classes to come. As I said, I spent like 6 months learning some of these things, some of the plugins. There's another script called Atom X. I just removed it because I never wanted us to see it. But let's see just what it's able to do. But everything, you must know how everything like is done from scratch. For example, if I create a text like this and be like, boom, right? boom layers are nice, right? So with some of these plugins, like the one I'm having, like this particular one, I'm just showing us the pop plugins or what plugins can do. I can go through some of the text reviews right here, so you can just see how they literally pop out or anything. Some of them I don't use them because they're not so good. And sometimes right now in professional animation, you want to do something like from scratch or anything, but apparently whatever kind of animation you are seeing in here, I can just apply it. I can just apply an in and out right here. So, and then in just a few seconds, I can just have, in fact, let me apply the in and out at the start of the layer. Let me just apply probably this one. Actually, this one. So by just clicking that, all right, I think I'm applying it on a shape layer or something. Just excuse me in a bit. Okay, I'm just going to apply it again. I think it's just applying the out only. Let me remove it. Let me just go back in a bit. All right, once we have our text, I just want us to show how this works. And I'm going to apply an in and out. The other time I was just applying the out. As you can see, our layer disappears, and then you can do such kind of animation just from scratch. But of course, there are presets within Illustrator, within After Effects that can actually do the same thing. Let me just put the resolution down to 1/4. As you can see, in just seconds, you can create that kind of animation, and then you can even have it change from whatever kind of a thing that you see here. So that's probably a sneak peek into plugins and everything. You can have layers revealing whatever kind of a way. I can even just change it to something like this in just seconds, and then everything will literally change. Oh, it hasn't changed. Please change. Was I applying the same thing? Let me just apply something different. 3D text. Let me just apply this. Okay, it has changed. Yeah, so those are plugins and scripts. Sometimes they ease your work and all that kind of stuff, but you need to know how to do this from scratch. Personally, I know how to do all this from scratch. If apparently they apply what we call expressions. For example, if I come here, we shall explore what expressions are, but it applies some sort of expressions. It has applied a couple of things in here. I think expressions are not enabled on this. For this one, it has not applied like expressions, but normally, in fact, it has expressions to it. It has expressions to it. I think they're applied on the text source, on the in and out. Yeah, as you can see, there's an expression right here. Expressions are written in code, a line of code. It has some sort of expressions to it. So anyway, but you need to know how to do it from scratch. That's very, very important. So that's why we shall not explore things to do with scripts and plugins. They can make you very, very lazy, yet you want to be so good at what you do. If you do stuff from only scripts and scripts and plugins, you cannot literally be an outstanding designer. You can do stuff you can do stuff like very quick, make some money probably. If I tell you are literally handling low-end clients, but it cannot literally make you a great designer. So you want to know how to do everything from scratch. For example, all those text animation apparently that we saw up there, we can actually do them from scratch from the source text, right? We can literally apply some sort of animations. We can do some sort of a tracking, to them, and then animate the tracking, So all I have to do is to make it. All I have to do, just like I shared with us, the best workflow of animation. For example, if you want it to track, like to start from being big, all I have to do is to press a keyframe right here. I want it to stop like there. I want it to end like that, and then come back, and then increase it or just disorganize it, right? So the beautiful thing with this kind of workflow is that you already have your endpoints like done or put together. So even though you disorganize everything the way you want, at the end of the day, it's going to end up the way you really want it to be. So let me just make this one a bit smaller. The other time we said that if you press F9, you can ease in. And also we talked about the curves in a bit. If something is not if you've not literally applied ease, right? Or if the keyframes are not eased. So I think actually I need to share with us a tutorial to do with keyframes and everything, what easing is, what easing out is, why to apply it or something. But like I shared the other time, you don't want your keyframes to be linear and all that kind of stuff. So you want them to be ease. This is literally a speed graph, apparently, but we also have a value graph. We shall talk about them probably in a separate tutorial, some that sort. I'll comment with the tutorial that talks about them. But we normally deal with the speed, and this is literally how fast something is. So these are literally linear. So it's literally showing how speed it is. So it accelerates up. Right now it stops, right? And then it accelerates down. So everything is literally linear. In fact, this is it moving, but the speed is actually linear, apparently. So you want the speed to cease being linear. So I think we have an extra keyframe that we don't want. So you want the speed not to be linear, but to be like a normal kind of speed. So you go to keyframe assistant and then easy ease. And then right now it creates some sort of a graph, so it starts in slowly. And then this is literally a place where it's a bit speedy. As you can see, everything literally changes. Yeah, so anyway, there are lots of text animations in here. You can do scale. Now, some of the things that we've been doing up here, you can actually have this text. Let me just delete this. Let me just put the tracking amount to 0, normal. And then you can actually put keyframes on the scale. So I believe most of you guys who have been with us from the start or following some of the tutorials I recommended, you know how keyframes work. I don't want to go into that again. So apparently, as you can see, you can have, this is a range selector of the scale. We've applied it. Oh God, there's something I missed out. If you want to apply, I think I may be a bit fast in this. Let me just delete this. If you want to apply these text animations, I talked about this because I showed us how they appear in the other kind of plugin, but you need to do them from scratch. All you have to do is your new text layer, click on drop down, click on the source text. This is the source text where we're going to apply everything, and then just click on this thing called animate right here. It will show us a couple of things. Right, so all these can literally be done. You can create keyframes on the scale, the skew, the rotation, everything. So if you want to create one on the scale, this is literally a range selector that has appeared, and then we have scale, right? So you can have okay, let me not start with the range selector. You can have with stuff literally scaling down. So you can have like elements scaling down. Let me create some sort of keyframe right here. So as I said, you want to start creating a keyframe from where you want everything to end, and then come back and disorganize everything. So that's literally one of the best workflow of creating animations. So I've created a keyframe of how I want everything to end. For example, let me also create a keyframe on the range selector, end, start, and everything, and then come back and disorganize everything. Right, so that's the most beautiful way of how to do animation. In fact, if I just click on everything like out of the blue and just do everything like just change everything like randomly, right? Random things. What happens? Okay, I just want it to be so random. Okay, it's not random. Okay, there it is. It's random. Just in case, I've done random things. I've not even been looking there or something that sort, right? Let me decrease this a bit. And, I can just have my animation like starting from there and then coming back to where it was. Then actually creating keyframes at the start and then coming here to, to have it like where it ends. So that's the most beautiful thing with this kind of workflow. So yeah, let me just go back in a bit. Let me delete these keyframes. So as you can see, let me just reset everything. Okay, there are some advanced things in here. We shall explore them in a bit. Let me So apparently we can create a keyframe of how we want everything to start or something like that, and then come here and decrease everything, in fact change everything, right? So apparently we made some changes on the range select and everything. Let me just delete this. I want it to start from scratch or something like that. So we're going to apply a scale and then decrease everything, create some sort of a keyframe where we want everything to start. And then we can come and then replicate some of the animations that we did down there. For example, you can have stuff just scaling from scratch, from 0 to up, from 0 to that, and just scaling up, just like we saw in some of those animations. Then we can also change the offset, of how they can actually do scale ups. I'm just going to put them there. We can have it scaled like from the start to the end. So I can just put the end to 0 and then just drag it here. As you can see, it gives us some sort of that kind of animation or something. So there's a lot of possibilities. Apparently I can also add the tracking that we did the other time, and then also apply tracking. It depends on what you want to do. I can come here, put a tracking amount, and then decrease it. It will give us like all those animations like put together. There's a lot of possibilities. We shall probably explore them in a bit. Today, oh God, time has really gone. I wanted us to explore some of the animation principles. Oftentimes, really time shifts so fast. So animation principles, yeah. So before you understand how those text animations literally done or they literally appear up, before you can actually do it from scratch, I will send some particular kind of animation or tutorial to do with text animations only, in a same kind of manner for you to learn how those things work. But before you learn how those things work, please don't use plugins like those ones, because they will not help you. They will not help you become better. Anyway, so we're going to learn a few things in animation principles, and then we shall say goodbye to the class. So I'm going to scale this a bit down, right? So oftentimes when you apply keyframes, I'm just going to show us anticipation, some of the animation principles that you need to learn from the start: anticipation, overlap, and then follow through actions. Anticipation, overlap, and follow through actions. So oftentimes when we put probably some sort of a keyframe, let me say position. I think I also start with this. We shall start with animation in our next class. And then be like, we want the animation to end from here. So I normally work from the end. And then I drag it to the start. So until to end from there. So I've already done some sort of animation, right? So as you can see, the animation is kind of linear, it's very, very linear. Let me make it less fast. It's linear. So what I'm going to do, come to the curves, right? In fact, you don't need to come to the curves section. You can also just click here and then be like, press F9 to ease them all. This can also be done with the curves themselves. You can just drag the curves and then have them like changed. You can just drag the curves and then make it an easy one. But this one is, you want to do them when you're used to the curves or something. So there are lots of ways of doing that, so that it starts, as you can see, I've made it to start in slowly, and then to start a bit slowly and then end slowly. But you don't want to be dragging curves like I've done. The best way for starters, you just click on keyframe assistant, then F9. Still, it changes everything from what? It changes the curve from how it was to this kind of, to the. It changes it from linear to this one where it actually starts in slowly and then it ends slowly, like how normally things literally move, right? So another kind of way is still you can drag here and left click. I think it has a place where you can do with keyframes. This right here is a keyframe. Apparently, when you click here, this is literally like clicking on one of the keyframes. I've clicked on this particular keyframe using the graph editor. I can still come to keyframe assistant and then do is on that particular keyframe. And then the same thing here, keyframe assistant is. But that's a longer process. by just pressing F9, you can still achieve the same. So there are lots of ways of doing that. So anyway, what I'm going to do, what happens, let me just give us a little understanding of how everything works. For example, if I want this to start slowly, right, all I have to do is to drag this left hand, this left hand thing like a bit, like to drag it like this side. As you can see, I've made the speed to start slowly and then kind of peak, like to come at its highest peak right here. So it starts slowly and then increases, right? So as you can see, starts slowly and then increases at the end, right? So there are lots of ways you can actually have these curves. I just want it to be probably something like this. I think this is okay. You want it to start to stop not so fast, except if it's intentional. Yeah. So now normally if you are starting up, let me go through the principles of anticipation. We're going to start with anticipation. Oftentimes, this is where most of the people basically how they do the animation, right? But normally when things are moving, for example, anything, if you're standing up or something, there's some sort of anticipation that you apply before something, moves or something starts, right? So, and this is, anticipation is like, I think I've ever made a tutorial of it sometime back. Anticipation is like that kind of action that you do before you do the main action. Like, just like you hear, it anticipates that the action, that's coming through. Like that kind of a force or effect that happens before the actual action literally appears. For example, when somebody is swinging a baseball thing, like has to go back a bit and then literally swing the baseball, right? So that's what we're doing right now. So for example, something does not just start and then it moves, right? So it has to go back a bit. So as you can see, if it's literally starting right here, all we have to do is to apply some sort of a keyframe right here, right? And then because we want it to start like by going back, we're going to, this is the X and Y, we're going to have it to start by pushing back a bit and then starting up, right? So as you can see, it now changes everything. If we apply another keyframe, it can just start, it starts like by pushing back, and then it starts by anticipating, right? Let me make the anticipation a bit larger. As you can see, this literally changes everything. Now, in this kind of two keyframes, what we want, we want it to be a bit, we want it to be, yeah, I think this kind of a curve is okay. Anyway, I think it's actually okay. Yeah, we want it to, first push back. Now, what we've just done is anticipation. So it moves back a bit and then, it comes and then literally goes. So you have to always, apply this oftentimes in your animations to make them, stand out or something that's like be better. Because before an element starts moving, it has to, anticipate whatever it's doing, right? So I'm going to do some other thing. I'm just going to apply the same thing within scale. I'm going to right now use a circle. Now to shape through different kind of elements, all you have to do is to press out and then change. Just press out and then click on this kind of thing. So it has changed to ellipse tool. So I'm going to apply anticipation to scale. We learned about scale. I'm just going to, I want it to scale up to this size. So I'm going to go back and be like, start from 0 and disorganize everything. I'm just going to press there 0. No, actually, let me have it start from like 30, right? Actually 40, like 50. So apparently, let me apply is. Now there's a script which can copy the is, how the curve actually looks right here, and then pastes how the curve, appears, how the very curve right here that we have, it can copy it and then paste it like up here. I've actually just used it. It just literally eases time since we know how to, do that kind of stuff. So if you know how to do this from scratch, we shall send that this is copy, so that you don't have to waste a lot of time. So as you can see, let me pray it through. It's starting just like how the other thing was starting. it has copied the same kind of curves. Before doing that, it was like this. Let me show you how probably this curve script works. All I have to do is to drag here and then copy, how this curve, is. As you can see, these are highlighted and this is a keyframe they're highlighted. So for now, right now, this is how it looks before we copy. Now, when we do the copy pasting is, okay, let me first copy the is. Okay, before copying the is, let me first copy how this is out. I've copied it, and then I can highlight this and then paste the is. So everything literally changes. Let me just highlight them, paste is, and then as you can see, the curve changes. I think it didn't just update the other time. So yeah, that's how it looks. So if you want to apply anticipation, what we're going to do, we're going to move probably a few frames in front, and then just drag it backwards a bit, right? To just make it like 30. And this is how it starts. As you can see, it makes everything like different. It doesn't look like how it was in the start. Now, this is done in just a few seconds. So that is literally anticipation. It can be applied to each and every kind of, element that you are doing. Even in rotation, same thing. We may not have the time to do that. Apparently, we are literally beyond time. So we shall explore that, I think, in the next kind of sessions or something. Same applies to follow through. When I enable this, when something does not just stop, actually, oftentimes, something first pushes in kind of forward and then it comes back to the stop. So right here, before it actually stops, before this shape stops, it has to first push forward a bit. So I'm going to drag these X frames in a bit, just like that. And then it comes back to the stop, right? So this is how it works. This is how it is, right? Now, the follow through, we call it the follow through. We have anticipation, follow through, and overlapping. We shall talk about overlapping next time. Follow through doesn't have to be, it has to be a bit lower, slightly lower than the anticipation, right? So you don't want it to be so much. So this is literally a better animation. So these are some of the few things that you have to consider from the start to make better animations. Anyway, for now, we're going to stop the class right here. So let me apply this to the scale also. For the scale, you're going to click on the layer and just increase it a bit. It stops at 100, so we're going to make it probably 105, right? So as you can see, it has that kind of a thing. Let me make it a bit more visible. 110. Yep. As you can see, it creates that kind of follow through because that's how things appear. So now you want to do this from the start. When you're learning animations, you want to do it from the start. Make sure that you apply these. These are the most basic ones, but they are over like 10. I've talked to, and I think I didn't shoot that kind of tutorial or something. But I'll talk about them, or there are lots of tutorials up there. I will just comment them, which talk about these things. So for now, we're going to stop the class right here, and then we shall talk about this again, and then explore the next kind of things as we are doing some sort of a practical animation next week on Monday. Thank you for being a part of the class. If you have any kind of question, please ask. Otherwise, I'm going to ask one of us to pray for us, and then we get out of here. So if you have a question, please ask. Or else we are literally going to have our class ended. So we've explored like animation principles. We learned a lot to do with design. We've established like where we shall start with. We shall talk about shadows, dimensions, and everything within. Otherwise, but besides, I would love us to share our work. Go back and practice. Just attending this thing is not going to help you if at all you don't practice these things. Go back and practice. I think just after this, I'm going to share the link. I thought it would be shared earlier on within the day. The link for what happened like on day 3, but I'm going to have myself sharing it on the group, and then yeah. So otherwise, thank you for being part of the class. If somebody has a question, please ask.